Okay, I walked around for a good amount of time, even surrounding Searchlight, and I could not find anybody else. Any other enemies, friends, anything, frenemies, anything that would indicate that this mod is still going at this point. So I think that is it for Prove Your Worth 1 and 2. So, yeah, overall, I liked them, and I will get to the review portion of it momentarily. I do want to say sorry that the first one was so crappy in terms of frame rate. I do need to reinstall my game. I'm very aware of that. And I need a new computer as well. I will get around to doing that. The only reason I haven't done it so far is because I'm worried that it's going to delete my files for my playthrough portion of the game. So I just got to make sure it doesn't do that so that we can continue our save games and all that. So, yeah, anyways, that's the delay on that. But we will eventually do it. I'm going to do it before the next mod review. So, yeah. I don't know if the next mod review is going to be New Vegas or Fallout 3 because I'm looking at some Fallout 3 mods. But we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. So I will see you guys back at the review portion. Alright, everybody. We are back in the review portion of Prove Your Worth by Bloodhonor. That is Prove Your Worth 1 and 2 because we did both. As always, I'll just start off with like a few general remarks and then we'll get into the categories. So I enjoyed both Prove Your Worth 1 and 2. I thought they were fun little survival mods. I really enjoy survival mods and survival games by extension. But, you know, in particular, the mods make it kind of into like a fun little mini game that kind of takes away from the story a little bit from Fallout New Vegas. I don't mean it in a bad way. I mean, like, if you're bored, you know, it's something on the side to do. So I think a lot more people should, you know, try to make these types of mods because they are just fun little sort of mini game type things. But I really enjoyed Prove Your Worth 1 and 2. These were a lot of fun to play. So with that said, let's get into the categories. First one, World Space. I don't really have anything to judge that by since there was no custom cells or World Space used. The Yangtze Memorial and Camp Searchlight. I guess what I would judge it on is probably like the decoration that he put there. The terminals, the turrets, the little Roman statue that was at the Yangtze Memorial was pretty cool. I mean, I guess in terms of all that, it was pretty flawless. I like the turret placement in both places. You know, it had a lot of a chance to hit the enemies from where they were and provided a lot of good help. It's just tough to judge World Space when there really wasn't a whole lot of it. So I mean, that's a 5 out of 5, I guess, because there was no errors in terms of like decoration or anything. So let's move on to lore friendliness. This I would give a 4 out of 5. And this is just a matter of preference, I was much more enthralled with Prove Your Worth 2 as opposed to Prove Your Worth 1 in terms of like story, because they didn't really have much of a story for 2. It was kind of just you get into it and it's the survival mod, and you're very aware you're playing a mod, which in this case I think you should be, but part 1 tried to kind of have like a little bit of a story behind it, and I don't know, I this is just my personal preference, but like the whole you open the gates of hell thing, I don't know if that was supposed to be metaphorical. It was the lieutenant guy who said that to me at the Yangtze Memorial, so I wasn't sure if that was supposed to be like a metaphor or if he was literally saying that the ghouls were like demons that came from hell. I assume it means the latter since that's actually what was said. I'm not going to try to interpret it and say it meant this or that because I don't know what it meant, so I take it at face value. But I just don't like that kind of stuff for me. It's not bad. It might fit into something more like a Silent Hill type of a mod, like a horror themed mod, but to me, an easy way to put this into Fallout lore would be to say something to the effect of, there was a radiation spike in a nearby area, and the NCR officials decided to keep the area quarantined, and they were running out of food. They were very upset, and so a lot of them, turned fail from the radiation spike, and now they're migrating here. They breached the quarantine or whatever. See, something like that is a really easy way to integrate something like a ton of ghouls coming your way into Fallout lore. So I think it could have been done a little bit better, but overall, no major gripes. 4 out of 5. Still think it was fine. I mean, you're really not playing this mod for the lore of it at all. You're playing it for the survival aspect, so no biggie there. Dialogue, there was a little bit of dialogue, particularly in the first installment. I would give this a 4 out of 5 as well. There were a couple of grammatical errors that I did notice in both 1 and 2, so that's something to just watch out for, because that kind of just irks some people. I don't care about it as much. I did notice it. I actually read one of them out, if I remember correctly, but I mean, I don't really care as much about it, but it's something that as a mod reviewer I do have to I have to put it in the review. So 4 out of 5 on dialogue. Playability, this, it was kind of tough to judge because my computer was going a little bit haywire as well. The second one, in terms of playability, Prove Your Worth 2 was a lot better than the first one, only because the second one had more of an urban warfare type of feel to it, because you're in a town. Enemies don't only come from one spawn point, there are several of them, plus you have the turret placement really set up very nicely in Camp Searchlight. So you're going around corners and there's enemies, and you're going to the end house and there's enemies in the little gated areas. It's really nicely set up. It really feels much more realistic than you're just at this one memorial and they're sort of coming just from one general direction. As far as the missing textures on the first installment, Prove Your Worth 1, I don't know if that was something that I was supposed to download with the mod. I'll go back and check the page, but I did check it twice before I installed the mod onto my game, and I don't believe it said that you had to download any extra creature mods or texture mods or anything like that. So if that was the case, that is something that the mod author should definitely state in the description portion on the Nexus page. However, I am not going to count that against the mod author, because that could have just been my game fucking up. That's very, very possible. And in fact, that probably is what it was. So that's why I'm not really counting that for the review portion. I felt like mentioning it in case that was something that was in the mod. But yeah, it kind of lags a little bit, only because you're putting so many enemies in one place. Maybe it would have been a good idea to make a light version, something where perhaps you could script it so that when the bodies deceased, they were like maybe immediately disabled or something, just something to clean up a little bit of the clutter and improve frame rate a little bit. So playability got a 3 out of 5 for me. Just could have been a little bit better. Miscellaneous and subjective experience for me would get a 3 as well, only because I thought that like the I mean, obviously the first one lagged, and that was a little bit of a problem, and that was partially my fault because I had Fraps running instead of Bandicam, which is a little bit more heavy, but I usually don't ever have any problems with Fraps, so I don't know how much of that it really was. The second one, though, kind of irked me, because at the end, it just sort of ended, and the quest marker got stuck, and it never really, gave me the experience points or anything. Obviously, I don't need it because, that was just a save game I have purely for the sake of reviewing mods. But if someone is using this, as part of their overall gameplay and, wants to get the experience points, maybe they're on the edge of leveling up or something, that something like that could really affect them. So I don't know, that was just kind of a real bummer to have it end that way. We didn't get to use the savior. I also thought that, one thing that could have been added, maybe you could add, in the first one you had like a real big creature at the end of Prove Your Worth 1, and I actually thought that was a really cool idea, and especially in Searchlight, I think that would have been even, that would have even fit more with the lore, because there's such high radiation there. So you definitely missed an opportunity to put like a huge, massive ghoul in there or something that you actually would have needed to use the savior for, because otherwise, if you have any companions at all, just picking off ghouls isn't going to really be a problem. Obviously, the volume of ghouls is tough to deal with, but I mean, most experienced Fallout users will be able to deal with that, sort of easily. So maybe you could have added some kind of like a big grand finale or something, but definitely the end of that needs to be fixed. I don't think I was the only one with that problem. I do remember reading something in the comments section of that mod that a couple other people were having that issue as well. So I might be wrong about that. Maybe it was a different mod, but I'll have to go back and read it again. But I don't think I was the only one with that problem. So yeah, overall this would get like a 3.8 out of 5. From me, I liked them both. I really did. I think there's really only small improvements that need to be made, just some little logistical stuff. Fixing some of the errors in the end of the quest, cleaning up some of the grammatical errors, just making sure that all the textures are in the right paths and all that, making sure that if there is something that needs to be downloaded additionally, that you are notifying people of that in the description section. As I said, that may not be the case. That may have just been my game. Just, I don't know if anyone else had that problem, but that's something to double check. Just make sure. I know I don't think this mod's being updated anymore because it is a little bit old. There are, like I said, there are 3 Prove Your Worths mod. There is a third out. I may review it at some point. I've actually seen it played, and it looked like a really, really fun mod to play. I think it's clear because I think Prove Your Worth 1 was this mod author's first ever mod. So you can clearly see the progression, getting better as a modder, getting better as a quest modder, and really just, adding things to make it look nicer and make it run smoother. I think this mod author is getting really good. Prove Your Worth 3 is probably the best of the 3, and I'm excited to play it at some point. Hopefully I do get to review it. I think this mod author's got a lot of potential and a lot of talent, and I definitely would love to see more of his or her work. I don't want to assume it's a he just because the mod author's name is Bloodhonor. You never know. That could be a woman also. So yeah, whoever you are, please keep making mods. You're very good at it. And I'd love to see more of your work. And yeah, so thank you guys very much for watching. I enjoyed playing Prove Your Worth 1 and 2 very much. And I hope you enjoyed watching me play it. I do apologize for a little bit of the frame rate stutter. And Prove Your Worth 1, I am going to try my very, very hardest to make sure my computer has, is not fucking up as much as it has been fucking up lately. I do apologize for that. I'm gonna try to get another computer pretty quickly here, so hopefully that will, fix a lot of these issues. So thank you guys very much for watching, and we will see you tomorrow for Fallout New Vegas Modded.